Thank you for joining us. Apparently on a rainy day, we don't get a lot of that. So here in Las Vegas, and it's just great to see everybody. My name is Jerry Burton. I'm the president of Nevada Now, as most of you know. We'd like to introduce our board before we get started. We have Tricia Methner. She's our executive vice president. There's Tricia. Eva Love is vice president outreach. You met her. She's been helping us with the program. Madalena Robertson, she's Vice President Media. She'll be dropping a bunch of links in the chat for me, and she helps me with the website and just about anything I need, graphics, etc. We have Sue Birch. She's has many hats. So Sue is our one of our vice presidents, but she's also she's Vice President Legislative Action. She's also Nevada Now PAC Treasurer and has been chair of our legislative committee that she'll be talking about in just a little bit. And we have our Nevada Now treasurer is Lenore Briley, and our secretary is Michelle Macy, and I don't see her yet. Or maybe we won't see her today. She's on vacation. Last I saw was some mini ears in Disneyland. So we hope she's enjoying her vacation, and we didn't know if we'd see her. And we also are joined by Maya Strope. I don't know if I'm saying your name the right way, the last name right, Maya, and Morgan Renfro. We've talked about it before, but they're starting a Loud Girls Club in their high school. They're going to be juniors, and they're attending West Career and Technical Academy in Las Vegas. And they're going to be affiliated with Nevada Now, and we're kind of mentoring them, but of course giving them the any help they need to do what they want to do in their club. And we're looking forward to that starting up in August and helping with some of their activities. And we even got to meet together and have lunch and talk about plans, and I'm so happy to see them, and can't wait to work with them on all their great ideas they have. So I'm happy to see them in our program. And like I mentioned, Madeline, I'll put some things in the chat, how to get involved with Nevada Now. We're all volunteers, so any membership goes towards a portion of the membership goes towards Nevada, and any of the work we do, that's how it pays and supports us. And we'll have volunteer links, how to volunteer, ways for, because we're going to be talking about candidates today, ways for candidates to request a questionnaire. And so we'll be dropping some different links. There's a National Now's conference is coming up. We'll have some information about how you can sign up for that. And our next program is just, if you want to make notes, it'll be on August 15th at 4. We're keeping them virtual at this point. We're going to have a fundraiser on September 18th for our PAC, kind of up in the air whether that's going to be in an outdoor backyard or virtual, because a lot of people are looking at the numbers and we're just not sure we're ready to jump into that yet. So want to keep everybody safe. So we kind of took a little summer break. We didn't have a program in July, so we hope everybody is having a good summer, getting their vaccines, staying safe. As we're talking about, Nevada numbers are going up, and California is suggesting that people be careful about coming here, which is not great for our economy. So we need to get people vaccinated. We need to start wearing masks indoors again. If they're suggesting, the Clark County Health District, wear a mask whether you're vaccinated or not indoors, and I intend to do that. I know a lot of our friends are doing that as well. We want to keep everybody safe. So we'll keep an eye on the situation on whether we're going to be able to meet in person. We were hoping to, in September, start regular meetings, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows right now. So today we have a really great program. We're glad you joined us. We are looking for ways to inspire people to run for office, find ways to support candidates, learn about our PAC, and we have Danna here, Danna Lovell from Emerge. She, one of the things I was thinking when I was thinking of you, Danna, is we hear about the successes Emerge has done to elect women around the country, but in Nevada, of course, especially to help have our first female majority legislature. And some of our dear friends are on the program today who are Emerge graduates, and we want our young people to hear about it so they know how to run for office. So I'm going to turn it over. We're going to start off with Danna, and then the last half of the program we'll be talking about what Nevada Now is doing and our PAC and some of the ways that you can get involved to help elect candidates as well. So Danna, if you wanted to start off and introduce, you have Fahima with you as well. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. I'm also joined by Fahima Khalaf, and she is both a graduate, an alumna, as well as a new board member of ours. Go ahead and say hi, Fahima.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Nice to meet you all and actually see you all on Zoom.
Yes, and I think that most of you, know the background. I know there's varying degrees of it, but I, like many of you on the call, in 2017 had a heart attack about who our president was. And I didn't think I was looking for a new job at the time. I was working for Channel 5. I was in the marketing department, and I felt like I was, giving back to the community. We had a lot of marketing and different incentives that we did within the community. So it was a great little job. But understanding that I was in the broadcast industry and understanding that almost all broadcast organizations are owned by those who helped our president get elected, I just didn't feel I could stay there. I just didn't feel I could add to that. And about that time, Emerge was looking for an executive director. I had been a cheerleader for Emerge. I had enjoyed all the things they had done, and I knew many of the graduates. And so I applied for the job and got it. I was so excited that I could work in a actual industry that was making a difference in our world, and I felt like it was needed more and more. And of course, the president we had at that time proved to us that that was true and that there wasn't enough you could do on a daily basis to make a difference. So we were paddling as fast as we could with it. And it's been a pleasure. That was June of 2017. So I just finished the beginning of my 5th year and finished my 4th year. And many of the alum that are on right now have been by my side every day as I work forward to make this, just to make the transition. And I was the first employee that Emerge had in 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 years. And at the beginning of 2021, many of you were with us when we celebrated our 15th, the beginning of our 15th year. So Emerge was founded in 2006. And on the call today, I'll have her say hi. The very first alumna ever elected to office was Ellen Spiegel, Assemblywoman Spiegel. So go ahead, Ellen, say hi.
Just hi, everybody. Emerge is a great program, and Danna's been doing a fabulous job. So I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you. Right. So, so there's been several iterations, like many organizations. We've had different leaders, and we've come through many different times and different situations that have happened. So having a full-time executive director has given us so many benefits. It's really helped to be able to have someone here full-time doing the work. And one thing I will say, as being a part of a national affiliate, we have 28 other states that have Emerge affiliates in them. And some of the like the states we have in Nevada, we have like Senator Melanie Scheibel. She's a graduate actually of Emerge California, but we get to count her as our alumna because she's here and she's elected in Nevada. And there are Nevadans that have gone other places and different. We also have some alum that are from New Mexico here and different things. But one thing I will say is that 9 of the 10 states with the most women in their legislature have Emerge affiliates in them. So that tells you right there that the bench we're building, the legacy that we're putting forward does make a difference, and it helps women get elected, and it helps it become not something so different and so unusual. In Nevada, we basically expect it now. The majority was definitely a surprise and an excitement. And many of the women here who helped make that happen. And also after 2018, when we became the first women majority legislature, in 2020, we became the first legislature with both houses majority. And we still are the only state that has that. So we're still on the cutting edge. One thing I was thinking of, and I didn't bring it, I wanted to show you, but you know, if you look up our Articles of Incorporation at the Secretary of State, you'll see a familiar name on that very first set of Articles of Incorporation. And here she is all these years later. Ashanti Golar was a founding member of Emerge Nevada, and now she is the president of the national organization. So you can see that we have, you know, we've been building, we've been working. The women that were here have always given a hand up to the other women. And your organization is a huge part of, you know, what we do here in Nevada. We do train our women. We help them, you know, run for office. We urge them to do it. Sometimes not against their will, but you know, like before they think they're ready, we tell them they are ready. You're ready. You can do this. You're trained, and you have a huge network to help you. But what really makes it happen, and we can't ever overlook the infrastructure that we have in Nevada. And you know, Nevada now is a huge part of what that is. Both what you've done recently legislatively to support our electeds once they already are in there, and then now, you know, when you come through your endorsement process, all of that is extremely, we just couldn't do it without you and the other organizations that do that, because there's so much work to do and there's so many candidates that need the help. Being a small state like we are, we don't have a huge base for all the things we do. So all of our donors are our volunteers. All of our volunteers are our phone bankers. You know, we have to do all things for all of our elected. So it's a labor of love in many ways, and I feel blessed to have a job where I get paid to do what I do, but I am mostly thankful to all of the women who support the other women like you do. So one thing that I wanted to talk about today and that I think is super important, I did invite our President Denise Lopez to be here. She is the national voter outreach coordinator for Faith Alliance. So she started, you know, she was in Northern Nevada. She worked for the party up in Northern Nevada, and she has had many hats. And now, of course, they've snapped her up nationally because she is so talented and she does know our political system so well. She had a medical emergency with her brother just now, who lives in a red state and is not supported by his health system. And so she's kind of having to step in to do that. But one of the things that she would talk about, and that we'll get into, you know, further with you on maybe hopefully another time, but we have started to really support and look at the new American majority. Some of you saw our 15-year video that we have. I love that. Maybe I can put it in the chat for you too if you haven't seen it. You can link over to our YouTube and watch it, but it's just about, you know, who we're supporting and why and how we're supporting them. And it's just the voices and the communities that have not been represented previously. You know, we have to look further. It's not going to be necessarily the traditional way of identifying and recruiting women. It's going to be a new way of going to the communities and being with those who need their voices lifted and asking for their leaders to actually become trained to become elected so that they can be the voices. And so someone who I think that can speak to that very well and who has agreed to take the chair of our recruitment committee is Fahima Khalafto. So Philly, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about what we're doing with recruitment.
Hi there. Well, so I'm incredibly excited to be chair of recruitment committee because I really do love Emerge and I believe in our mission and what we do. I was first recruited to join Emerge from Mercedes. I think Mercedes Cross, many of you know her. She is an Emerge alumna and she said, I thought you'd be perfect for this program. You must apply. I was in the class of 2020. I had to remove myself for personal reasons, but came back and finished with class of 2021, which was amazing. And then I applied to join the board and I was accepted into that position, which I love and enjoy. And for me, Emerge Nevada is really, really intentional in their mission of recruiting women that look like me, that have names like mine, that maybe didn't feel like they were welcome in the space before, whether or not, I don't think that was intentional, but that's just, you know, it wasn't kind of put out there. But with Emerge Nevada and with my goal is to really find women that are leaders of their communities that are underrepresented, but just are natural leaders, but maybe didn't know that what they're doing is work, what they're doing is wonderful, and that they are advocates for their community. And hopefully that we can give them the tools to teach them and to train them so they can, run their districts or wherever they want to run for office, and to show them that they can win. And, for me, Emerge Nevada has really been incredibly powerful, just kind of like in my own empowerment, in my own voice. And I love lifting other women up and, to see that sparkle and to see like, wow, you really are incredible. You really are wonderful. And what you bring to so many people. Let's give you that opportunity. And Emerge has really been a wonderful platform and kind of an opportunity for people that didn't think they had that before. So my goal is once we start for the class of 2022, it'll be, I think the applications start August 15th through October 15th, and then our class will start in November of 2021 and run through March of 2022. And it's a wonderful program, and we teach the women different items like how to create a campaign plan, public speaking. And honestly, if anything, it's more of like, you can do this, you're wonderful, you're awesome, and we just remind them of their greatness.
Thank you, Fahima. Yeah, that's exactly right. I always tell and I remind everyone that the women were amazing before they came to us. It's not Emerge that made them amazing. What we did is we just gave them the tools to push that out in a different way. Especially like last year, I know that you all, we had 15 judge women on our on the ballot, and most of them did not feel like they were political animals. They were very serious attorneys, and learning to become political was really part of their journey. It was part of understanding, like, how do I go out? First of all, how do I ever ask anyone for money? How do I ever ask anyone for anything, including their vote? All of that was very foreign to most of them. And so it's a lot of helping them understand that you're really asking for what you can accomplish. So when we have you come into Emerge, it's more like, what things do you want to accomplish? What are your top lines, top three subjects that you want to work on, or topics that you want to tackle? And then what does your constituents want? Sometimes you have to align that. You might want pie in the sky, but they don't even have the basics. So you might have to back up and start with the basics. And so you have to ask what your constituents want and make sure that you're including that in your platform. And so once they realize that you just work backwards from what's needed out there and what people want, it makes it pretty simple for you to create your campaign plan. We do teach a 90-second message that they had to work on many, many times, understanding that what you're really trying to do. And we do have a very deep communication session where we teach them to speak as others will listen, to speak in the way others will hear it. You can say all you want, you can use a bugle, but if you're not speaking the way someone else wants to hear it or can even understand it, you're not going to be effective. You might, I feel like those on the other side of many of our political arguments tend to speak louder so they think you'll hear them more. And that's just not, we all know that's not the case. If you're not speaking to my heart, my soul, my people, my family, I'm probably, I'm not probably listening, because I'm not there to learn. I'm there to find out what you can do for me as a constituent normally, So there's just so much to the beginning of that whole communications process. We do spend quite a lot of time on that. And then throughout the 6-month program, our candidates receive monthly messages from our communications team that teaches them a little bit more about all the basics that they learned from the first day. So that's an ongoing 6-month training to remember where you are with your comms. You get to have your own opinions. You're not entitled to your own facts, but you are entitled to your own opinions. And you just need to make sure that your message touches others in a way that they can understand it.
I think what Danna's saying is really important about having your own message, because we all are incredibly unique and we do have different views. So you have some that are a little bit more progressive than say you're traditional or you're moderates, and that's okay. I mean, it's a very safe space to speak about your beliefs and who you are and, you know, what you think. And honestly, I mean, these women are amazing in the class, and what Emerge does is it shows them like your opinion matters, your voice matters. And I think that, you know, and then also to listen and to hear, just like what Danna was saying, and then we learn from each other. And it's incredibly powerful to hear from these like incredibly intelligent women, and to learn from one another in a really, really safe and positive space. And, you know, for myself, I learned a lot from my class, just about, you know, appropriate pronouns, and just how to, you know, be mindful of that. So I make an effort personally to be incredibly mindful, because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings unintentionally. And especially if it's easy for you to learn something new, that's no problem. So I really love that Emerge is like, hey, all we ask is that you're Democrat, you know, but come on board and we're going to teach you what you need to know to win. And we're going to help you polish yourself. And it's just incredible to watch the growth and to watch these women emerge as leaders, even though we knew they were leaders, but for them to start believing it. And when someone has that belief inside of them, my gosh, it's just fun to watch them. And it's just such a great story and such a great journey for us. I know Danna feels the same way. Like I get really giddy when my friends win. And even if they don't win, but just to be a part of that campaign, I think is it's incredible and gratifying at the same time.
Yes, totally agree. And I will, you know, leave it to some of our alumni that are on the call as well. But what also happens is those who are running are supported by those who are not running. And nothing could happen without it, because it's really that network. If you think about what makes us different, you can go on, there's many online courses where you can learn how to run for office. You know, there's many different venues that you can learn to run for office. But the one thing we know they don't have is boots on the ground, a network like we have that supports the women who run. And in a way, just as Fahima is saying, not in just an outside way, but in an inside way. We know who you are. We know what your heart is. We know what matters to you. And we can support you through that. And, you know, as it's gotten really, really rough out there, when your competition is as mean as can possibly be, you know, women in particular need that reassurance and support that they're on the right track. We find a lot of times that men are just ready to go and they're sure they'll be the best at it. So they just do it whether they're good at it or not, you know? And so, but women are not like that. You know, they think they need a PhD plus 2 master's degrees and also some extracurricular education in order to do anything. And they always want to be the best at it that they can. And so it's really nice to have those around us that support and remember who you really are and help you remember who you really are during the hardest times imaginable. And I'll just share real quick, like what I'm talking about there is when Julie Pizzina ran for Senate District 24? No, can't remember. It's where Keith Pickard is.
Is it 20? Because I was obsessed with it. You know,
oh, there you go.
20?
That's right.
That was my report or my project. How we're going to beat him.
That's right.
How we lost by 24 votes.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, when Keith Pickard won by 24 votes, he literally bought a jersey, put it on, and put his picture on Facebook against Julie. That's how immature and ridiculous. I mean, and that's just one, that's not even like other jokes and other things that was put up about many different of our candidates that I can't, it's hard to get into because it's hard, but you know, the network is the importance there, having the network, and then having organizations, you know, like now, we also work with Emily's List, NARAL, Planned Parenthood, you know, all the different women's organizations. It takes a village to make this happen, but it's really worth it. You know, it really does make it work. So I don't know, Jerry, if you want to open it up to questions, or if you want to hear from some of the other alums.
I just thought I'd start off with one, and we do have one in the chat so far. But one of the things I wanted to mention, I've got some dear friends on here that have run for office, Connie and Venetia. I hear from them about Emerge Sisters, how it's just, you just hear the way they talk. This is not, they're always supporting each other, attending each other's events. And we have Robin on. I've heard Robin and Michelle talk about their experience this year with Emerge and the people who supported them. And I think that's what really shines through, and like you say, one of the things I was going to ask you, because I've heard this before, is they talk about how many times it takes for a woman to be asked to run. Isn't it like 16 or something, Danna?
I don't know if it's
a
16.
Big number. I don't know, maybe 5, but I mean, it's a
I
big
think it's
number
like 7,
okay.
Literally 7 times. The first time it's foreign, and the second time they go against it.
Yeah.
But I think it is like 7 times, and that's true in some other things too. Like, it takes your mind. If you don't have it in your mind, it takes a while to create a picture of what that looks like for you, and then secondarily, it takes a couple times for you to picture yourself even broaching the subject, basically. So yeah, it does. And oh, sorry, did I lose you for a second?
Just for a second, yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does take several times, and we do consider it a sisterhood. It really definitely is. And it's interesting, I'm looking, because we have Radhika, Dee, Lynn, Robin, Ellen, Connie, Venetia, Claire. I think that's all of our alums on there, along with Fahima. So, we are blessed to have many electeds, and they definitely do reach out and pull up the next woman, and they do help them. We just ended our class of 2021, and I had over 20 alums help me through the weekend with different panels and different, we actually had each one of the class members sit down with one of the alumna and get help in 5 different categories on their campaign plan, just to ensure that they really have one, because the National Democratic Training Committee did after 2020, I can send this to you, Jerry, too. After 2020, they did a debrief of all the Democratic candidates across the nation. And one of the things they found is that 67% of the Democratic candidates won that they talked to, and the most successful ones had a full campaign plan. And the other 30 some odd percent that did not, didn't necessarily have a full campaign plan, even though they might have had, parts of one. If you don't really have a full one that's really vetted and really something that you can follow, you many times can fail because of it. So we've always had a campaign plan requirement, and Connie was in the first class that I was the executive director for, and she helped me really hone in. Thank you, Connie. Really hone in on what was needed, by the other candidates, things that she didn't feel she had necessarily, and things that she wanted us to expand on. So we sat down with all of them and helped them with that. And I think that's also something that will help those who are asking on endorsements. They got a lot of information about endorsements and how, what it takes. And you don't have to know every question. And if you don't know it, you need to make sure that let them know you'll get back to them, and actually get back to them with answers or additional questions. That's, more than needing to know everything. It's that. And I was wondering if you thought that was good advice.
You were talking to Connie or to me? Oh, definitely. I think it's
no,
great.
You, Jerry.
Yes, yeah. Oh, definitely. And it helps us too with our PAC. I mean, we vet candidates, and when we know they're Emerge graduates, and we also know other Emerge graduates who worked with them, and it helps us as well. And that was one of my questions. I'll read the one in the chat in just a minute too, because they were asking about the process. But other than being a Democrat, is there any other criteria that you look for in someone looking to run? And also, let's make sure we put in the chat how someone learns more about becoming an Emerge candidate, to be a candidate for that. What besides being a Democrat is some of the things you're looking for?
That's the only actual litmus test we have, is you have to be a Democratic woman. When we're looking at our applications, we are looking for leadership qualities. So one of the questions that we do have is, what have you led that you're proud of? And what was the hardest part about it? And what was the part that made you most proud about it? So we do want leadership previously, but it doesn't have to be, political leadership. Does the Democratic Party have any structure to support their candidates? Well, I will just say that I think the Democratic Party currently is in flux a little bit, so I'm not sure what their the new current is. We have a brand new chair of the party, so I haven't really had the chance since we just got done with our class to find out what the new norms are or the new plans are. But one thing I will say in Nevada, and one of the reasons we do have the luck we have, is because of our democratic structure. We have a very strong, unions are strong. Our democratic infrastructure has always been strong, and the endorsement organizations and PACs are very involved, and they don't just give money. They a lot of times give boots on the ground, knocking, phone banking, and all of that. It does make the difference, and Connie even can say how much she won by the first time. What that was the infrastructure that helped us do that. And when you lose, it can just be, maybe not the infrastructure, maybe just, she was in a district that was very difficult, and it's gone back and forth many times from Republican to Democrat. But as far as what we expect from you is, we need to know that you are a voice for your community, and what's different about your voice. We want to know that right now. That's kind of an important one right now. Is to make sure that we're getting a diverse group of voices into those classes. This last time we had 80% diversity, meaning that, between LGBTQ, new Americans, women of color, we really want to make sure that that's what's getting heard and being trained to do, and also being supported to actually make it a commitment, because even though they're trained, a lot of times even their own communities don't support, because it's new to their communities as well. And I remember the first year that I started, I immediately went to ACDC and the Asian community, and I'm like, let's put someone up. We don't have any at the time. The Assemblywoman Wynn was not in the legislature. I'm like, we need a woman. And literally they told me, they said, Danna, Emerge is like a university program, and we barely have kindergartners and elementary school political people. Like in their community, it just has not been front and center. There's so much that even their community has to learn in order to just participate in the system. First of all, and all of us have to help that and support that and make it better, because that's our fastest growing population right now. And they're working on it. Obviously, they've been working really hard on it, but we definitely have to support that, because we're not even going to be able to give our services to that faction unless we help them grow in what they know and be willing to participate. And that means we have to make sure they're seen, and not just seen, but heard and supported in their way, not in our way, not what's right for us, but what's right for them.
I think in our research, or at least in my research, we're going to beat them, is what we found is that many of the API community do not vote. And I think there has to be a real direct, intentional outreach by the Democratic Party to get them to vote, to register to them to vote, and to vote for Democrats, just to kind of align ourselves with their views and show them that we are like you, because I think the Republican Party really works trying, no, you're more like us, come over to our side. But I think, honestly, in the next election, that's an untapped market, or maybe it already is tapped, but just from what I did, very basic statistical research, I think that's a huge demographic that the Democratic Party really needs to go after. And I feel that they will make a difference in the upcoming election.
And I think seeing people like Assemblywoman Wynn, and the young women are seeing, I could do that too. And, now is nonpartisan. So, we don't necessarily Democrat or Republican, but it's issues.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. But what I'm saying is the issues, which is what the Democratic, all of the candidates that we've endorsed, that's because of issues, but they're typically Democrat. So we had a Republican who was pro-choice, and all the good issues would be right there. But anyway, we just don't have that many here. So So we did have a question. Someone, I don't know if we've covered this completely, but they're saying, what is the training process, Marta says, for each class? Between November and March, how often do they meet? Is it a regular weekly class, and what is the curriculum? Which we've talked about the curriculum some, but maybe what is the time? I know that they're giving a promise to give a certain amount of time to attend a certain amount of meetings. What does that look like, Danna?
Yes. So we have an application process. I do have a flyer. If you don't mind, I can put the link to it when I'm done here. But we have an application, and then when they go through an interview, and when the class is selected, we select between 20 and 25 for each class, and they're agreeing to 70 hours of training, which is this year we promised all virtual. We were lucky to come together in the last class, but some still came virtually, which was allowed to do. Under the current circumstances, we were hoping to go in person, but we don't know, like you were saying, we don't know what that's going to look like. But when we start in November, you have an opening weekend, which is usually 2 days. To start to get to know each other. We build a lot of the cohort bonding is done just right then, and then we meet once a month for the next 5 months after that. So it's 6 months, 1 weekend a month, for a total of 70 hours or more of training. During that time, we also have other, like if it's been we've added a 2-day DEIJ training. So it's specific to political. So what we do is we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, but how does that look in your campaign? So you have to think about, when you're fundraising, are you doing fundraising that is comfortable and equitable for women of color, or moms, or, people on the front line, just different things. Like, how are you looking at that, and how are you building that into your campaign? Also, what about voter outreach? It's always mentioned, that you don't just hire a Latina woman just to talk to the Latina community. You put her in her position, and you have her talk to all voters. Just particularly, she can help you with the Latino voters, but you have to understand you don't just have them not have a real job. It has to be the full thing. It has to be the whole essence of the work. And so the minute you do that, you change really the value of your campaign, because that is known. It's easy to be seen by those who are looking in from the outside. So we've put it in a 2-day training, and that's a huge part of what we work around, and we work off of that quite a lot. And that's changed a lot, as you can imagine, over this time with all that's happened. We've had days in class that had to just be based around understanding. It's different than it might have been before. It's not just a 1, 2, 3. Sometimes there has to be voices heard even in class, and how people are feeling and things that have happened, in order to really understand what it takes to do it. So we might have an extra class. We might put something on a Saturday. It's not required, but most all the class members come because it's so important to be there for each other. Do you want to add anything to that, Fahima?
What I would say is that, for myself, I joined really thinking I'm not going to run, and I still don't think I'm going to run, but the class has taught me so much, just as far as, networking, just as far as the connections I've made, just as far as lifting other women up. But also, just like Danna was saying, I mean, there were times we did have to pivot, where someone said, hey, that's not right, and your words impacted me and they hurt me, where we didn't even think of that. But it's really important, as someone running for office, to be respectful and to know, because this might be your constituent, or this might be someone, and if they feel heard, as we all know, that will make a difference, and that'll help you get elected. So I think with and it is flexible. I think there were times, Danna, where she had to kind of pivot and say, okay, let's do it this way. What do you think? And that's what's so great about Emerge, is that we're always willing to grow and to adapt to our changing situation. And it's very, I know I keep on using the word intentional, but it is important to use it, because that's who we are. And we really do want to meet our community. We really do want to train the leaders of various different communities because this is the new America.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I wanted to point out that Robin Franklin said, as a recent graduate, I can say I feel wholly supported and encouraged. Emerge made me realize my dream of running and serving in office. I'm in awe and such a fangirl about this program. So she said it to us before too, but I just wanted to read that out.
We're a fangirl of Robin Franklin.
Yeah,
wait to see
love
her
Robin.
running.
Yeah.
We love Robin. And then if Michelle were here, I'm sure Michelle Maese would say the same. She's a huge fan and it had an amazing time in the program. So, and
well, my prediction is she'll be Senator of Nevada one day. She'll be a senator. That is my prediction. So,
yeah, we're big fans of Michelle's as well. So I see big things happening, and I know she really accredits a lot of it to what she learned in Emerge. So I was sorry she couldn't be here, but I'm glad she's getting time away because she's got a busy job as well as her training with Emerge. So I think unless you have something else to add, Danna, to wrap up, we're going to go into some of our things we're doing with our Nevada Now PAC and that sort of thing.
Could I just say a couple more things? Okay, first of all is and I'll put this in chat, I'll grab everything while you're going on with your program, but you can hop on the Emerge Nevada website and there is a link to nominate a woman. So that's one way that you can take action now is just send us a nomination. Applications open August 15th. They close October 15th. It is a rather long time, but that's because not a lot of people realize that 2022 is coming. Like they don't realize you have to start now. And we wouldn't want to miss anyone in our class that really deserves to get the training. So please nominate a woman on there. And then if, we also are going to have board nominations starting in January. So there's a place on there that you can also apply to be a board member for Emerge. And that is crucially important because Emerge is run, I'm the only paid employee and there's no possibility without, and the other women on here have all done work for us. So like Connie is with me every week on Thursdays. We meet regarding this campaign plan, to prepare our candidates. Fahima's on 10 or 3 times a week doing different things for me. And so, long story short, we're run by committees and without my board members, them chairing the committees and actually getting other members to help, we could never do all the work. It's just so much work to do. So you can also hop on there and apply to be a board member, which we would love. And then of course, we are, Emerge is, it's alumna, just plain and simple. It's nothing. That's why I always try to put them out front. I always have them speaking for us because they're the best speakers. They're the ones that really, that's what it's all about. Without them, we really aren't anything. And so just so everybody on here knows, like it's definitely the alum. And thank you so much for having us. It's really nice to be here with you all. I love, now being with our Emerge candidates and all that they, are able to do with you all. And I really do appreciate and spend the time with Jerry and all the things we do together. It's a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danna. We always enjoyed that as well. So, and Marta, did you have a question? I see a hand up.
So my husband and I recently hosted a fundraiser for Jody Tyson, who's, I believe, from Emerge. It was just really fun to see how polished she was and how prepared she was and how organized the campaign was. And I just want to encourage all of you who are a part of this program that you have this whole sisterhood out here of women who support you and believe in you and want to see more women in elected office. So I want each of you, as you think about running or rerunning again, to remember that my husband and I are active canvassers for Democratic candidates, and I mean active. And we are also very financially supportive of Democratic women. So remember the name, Marta and Stefan Schmidt, and don't forget us, Fahima, when you run for office, not if, when you run for office, don't forget us, that we want to be part of the team behind you, supporting you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you so much for Emerge. Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, Marta. You're so kind. And Jody is incredible. She's fantastic. And she's running for Henderson City Council. I can't remember the ward. I hope she doesn't. Do you remember, Danna?
Ward 3.
Ward 3. Good job. And Marta, thank you. You were so kind. It was such a pleasure meeting you and your husband. And I appreciate your compliments. So thank you.
Be
Thanks,
sure and run,
Marta.
Fahima. We're expecting you to run.
No pressure. Well, we're going to transition over to some of the things we're going to be doing to help elect people, women. We do endorse men as well. We're more issue orientated, and Sue is going to take over and talk about a little bit about what we're working on, what we did in our legislative committee, and what we are going to do with our PAC. So, Sue.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm on my phone. It's a little weird, computer issues, but
Fine.
I just want to thank Danna and all of Emerge, number one, for sending great women to Nevada Now. It's awesome to get to know these super women. So thank you for that. And just on a little soapbox note, I think sisterhood is the key word. If we as women felt that we were one big sisterhood, just think of what we could get done. But I'm off the soapbox right now. Legislative committee, the legislative session, everybody's got mixed feelings on it, whatever, but I want to say thank you to all that testified and gave opinions and, made a difference this legislative session. Eva, I think you've got my screenshot on the bills we supported.
Is that the one you wanted?
That's the first one. Yeah, that's the first one. We had 32 members on our legislative committee, and we were all using the Slack app. And one day I think I'll make a movie out of it, because some of the conversations were kind of interesting, and you'd have to know what was going on in the session to understand the conversation. But we also worked in coalition with at least 12 other organizations, and most of them you've gotten to know from our Zoom meetings. These are a few of the bills that we were, I don't want to say super behind, but were a key focus for us. And then there's another screenshot, Eva.
Got it.
Yeah. These bills all passed. I mean, SJR 8, the equality bill is on there, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there's another whole page. As a group, we supported over 50 bills. I think it was closer to 55. This is another bunch of them. We had 38 bills make it to the governor's desk, which is about 70%. So I know there were some disappointments to the legislative session, but 70% is a lot of good stuff to get across the finish line for the people of Nevada, specifically women, but for our entire community, because all issues are women issues. So I'm pretty pleased with that. We're going to continue with the Slack app because we just heard from Emerge. 2022 is right around the corner, and we've got to start planning now. So yeah, with that, I'm going to talk about our Nevada Now PAC, which we reestablished in 2019. We endorsed in 2020. We endorsed candidates for mainly state assembly and state senate in the general, and about 29 candidates. We did endorse in the primary, but out of the 29 candidates that we supported in the general election, 21 were successfully elected, and we were disappointed about the other 8, but we still did okay. But I know some of these great people are going to run again. The PAC did make campaign contributions. We spent about $2,000 in the primary and over $6,000 in the general election, to a total of $8,300 for the first time actually being active with the PAC. I think that's pretty cool. Considering as Danna was saying, we are a volunteer organization. We depend on donations and what's the word I want? I can't even think. But we do depend on donations and membership. That's the word I wanted, to fund us. So it was just absolutely outstanding. We not only had the money to support our candidates, we phone banked, we text banked, because of the pandemic, we literature dropped. There's so much we could do, and we plan on doing all of that and more in 2022. So looking at that, I think Jerry's going to be more specific about volunteering, but I know Madalena has put in the chat how to donate to the Nevada Now PAC. We are looking for donations. We are probably going to have a fundraiser in September, so do save that date. I believe it's September 18th, because the sooner we get started and start raising money, the more we can help some of the fabulous candidates that are coming out of Emerge. If you are a future candidate, there is also in the chat and my email, treasurer@nevadanowpac.org. I see to getting questionnaires out to you, so we can go through the vetting process and make that endorsement official. And if you want to volunteer to help us with the PAC, like I said, Jerry's going to talk about that in 1 second, because we've got a lot of things going on over this coming year. SJR 8, our equality bill, is something big on my list that we have to get voter turnout. 2022 is just too important of a midterm, and traditionally we've lost it federally. So we need all hands on deck. So Jerry, did I get it all?
You did very good, and I'll cover a little bit more. So as we've talked about, we've spent the last year and a half having our virtual meetings, sometimes weekly, every other week, because our monthly meeting wasn't enough. And so, through the pandemic and the economic, problems, we're going to continue having regular meetings with different topics, but we're kind of picking some core issues, and so we're going to just quickly go through some of that. Just for people who don't know about the National Organization for Women on the national level, it's a multi-issue. We're not like a single issue organization, so that kind of makes it tough sometimes, but it also leaves it for, we can pretty much do anything we want to that's in our community, and people do that around the country. So the core issues are reproductive rights and justice, economic justice, ending violence against women, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, and constitutional equality. So we found, working in coalition with organizations in Nevada, we've been pretty successful with with all of the issues we've been working on through the last couple of years. All of our members were volunteering for food banks and making masks and delivering masks, and we've done a lot. So we kind of have an ambitious agenda going forward, and we're going to start asking for volunteers to help us out. And the first thing, of course, is our Nevada Now PAC. We want to continue the success of the last election cycle, and we'll need people to help us vet candidates, because, again, as we keep mentioning, we're volunteers. So it was Sue and I and a few of the board members doing most of it last time, and we have Michelle Maese. She's going to be helping us. And then, of course, to fundraise and support the candidates like we were talking. And we did that quite successfully last time. $8,000 may not sound like a lot, but we were really proud of how much we raised. It was not easy. And every single dime went to candidates. By the end, we emptied the bank account. So we didn't want to have any money left. We wanted it all to go out to candidates. So we were real proud of the hard work that we put into, and especially during a pandemic. So but the other two things we're going to work on that are kind of my babies. We did pass the bill for the state ERA, and anybody who knows me knows that the federal ERA is my thing. As Zoe will say, Zoe Nicholson is my jam. But now the state ERA is going to be, and in order to get that ballot question passed, we're going to need everybody involved. And my idea is to put together a Nevada Equality Coalition, because if you know what the ERA says on the state level here, and just quickly, it's equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by this state or any of its political subdivisions on account of, and it covers everything: race, color, creed, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, age, disability, ancestry, or national origin. So the reason I think it'd be important to put together a coalition is this will be, people who work on disability rights, if they work on women of color, if it's LGBTQ issues, this state ERA is going to cover everyone. So if we can get just a large group of people together, including it in their ballot slates to vote yes on this ballot measure and educate people on how, comprehensive our state ERA is. And because the federal ERA is kind of frozen right now, we need the state ERA in place. And I'm preaching to the choir, but I think this will be a good way for us to all work together in Nevada. So we're going to start working on putting that together, and we'll need organizations and individuals to help us get that word out. And then if you've attended a few of our programs, we're madly in love with Samantha Glover. We worked on her AB 224 to pass, to get period products into schools. And, we're just so proud of her. And she and I are working on putting together something that Massachusetts now was really successful with, which is a menstrual equity coalition. We're going to call it the Nevada Menstrual Equity Coalition. And we're going to look for organizations to join us. And this will be advocacy organizations, nonprofits, businesses. In Massachusetts, they have a list of maybe 100 different individuals and organizations that work on working on period poverty and ending that in their state. And they just got an amazing thing going on. So we're working with Sasha in Massachusetts to model this. And, it'll include legislation going forward. But right now, it's getting people together who are interested in, and in particular, we're going to add on people who are houseless and incarcerated. And the reason we need you to help is we need to learn what is needed in these areas and find out how to start providing products to them, to find out how to change laws and change different, the ways they're written into what's happening with actual people in prison. And it's local and state in particular. And, what's happening, and we know that we work with Wendy at Project Maryland, and we've been volunteering, putting together, I had to get that right, I'm Madalena, I always want to say it the other way around. And Wendy with Project Maryland, we've been putting together period products in the bags, and then I went out and handed them out with one of Wendy's volunteers at one of the food banks, and people are just so grateful. And it's one of the things that when we were doing the food banks here at the beginning of the pandemic, people were asking for period products, and diapers was like two of the big things that we were asking for volunteers to donate. So we really feel this is a big issue. It's something that Nevada now has promised to work with Samantha on. And if you haven't met her yet, I know the legislators up in Reno. She came when the bill was passed, and I hear she was like a rock star. People were like, let me meet her. And now she's working on even on the national level with some of the bills that are going on with one of the senators. So we need your help. We have some links in there. We're looking for volunteers that want to work on any of these issues, or if you think there's something we need to have a program on, please let us know. We're always open to ideas. So I think that covered what I was going to cover. Sue, did you have anything else? I don't know if I lost Sue. There you are.
No, I'm here. Yeah, I think we want to also start a coalition for LGBTQ plus rights, and work with some of our organizations, specifically here in Southern Nevada, to again, it's all part of the equity piece. I think we can work with those with the LGBTQ community on the ballot question for the state question on the ERA, because it's going to take all of us to get that passed. And like I said, getting the turnout. So if you do have an interest in helping us with any of these things, shoot us an email with what specifically you want to get involved in. I know there's a whole bunch of talented people on this call. I know a bunch of talented people. So any help we can get, Danna said it best. It takes everyone, and we need to be that sisterhood. So we need everybody's hands on deck, and I don't care if you think you don't know how to do anything. We'll get you there. You'll be surprised. I didn't think I could do anything, and look at me.
And you do so much now. So my right hand work.
I can craft. So everybody. Yeah, everybody.
With the Nevada, the Equality Coalition, the LGBTQ rights will be in there, and we're going to be working with Cy at Gender Justice in particular. Maya and Morgan, which I don't think they're still, I know they have to go early. The students were meeting with Cy on Tuesday, I believe now, and learning what we can do to help with gender justice as well, and then getting Cy's help with the ERA, the state ERA, because it will cover everyone. So that's pretty much our ambitious agenda going into 2022, because we know we've got a lot to do with elections, coming up, but we also want to really focus on a couple issues, and we can use your help. So let us know how you want to get involved. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. I don't see any in the chat, so we could open up to say goodbye and hello, or I saw people hop on at the end who didn't get a chance to say hi at the beginning. So thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you stay out of the rain. I hope it's calmed down.